Warning: the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFD-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
Good evening, everyone. Well, of course, I shouldn't say evening. This is a part of a podcast, although right now it's a live show, and it's very much 7 o'clock in the Central Time Zone, 8 o'clock in the Eastern. We are about to crank up a show that's going to be really interesting to everybody. You wonder why I'm promoting a movie on a paranormal show? Well, the movie is also promoting the paranormal. In fact, it's all about the paranormal. It's about a paranormal investigation. We have two people that were involved in the movie. Right now, immediately, we've only got one. Amanda Hannah will join us in just a few seconds. Hopefully, we'll get our other person up here. And I'm trying to remember how to pronounce her name. Neva Ibanez. I believe I got that right. Amanda's in the green room nodding her head, so I must have it right. So she'll be joining us any minute. She's having a few technical difficulties. You know how this technology goes. Anybody who's ever done a show knows how this technology goes. You have issues almost every night. And Amanda will be joining us just shortly. Next week, we will be doing don't have a guest. Nobody wants to appear that close to Christmas. So I will, rather than running old shows or recorded shows, I will be doing live in Echo Vox. There we go. We will be doing live an Echo Vox session. In fact, several of them for over a 2-hour period. So be sure to show up in the chat rooms with your questions if you have any, and we'll see if we can make some contact next week. But this week, as soon as we get all settled down in the with our guest here in the green room, we will go live with our guest. And here we go. And there we are. Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Would you believe I was having to run the air conditioner in this room up to a few minutes ago?
I am too. I've got mine on right now.
I don't want to run it during the show because it makes a noise in the microphone. So I had to turn it off. Just a couple of Amanda saw me get up and turn it off. But this is something else. Because it was 74 degrees in this room, and I was just breaking out into a sweat just sitting here.
Yeah, it's pretty bad here too. Where are you at?
Southeast Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So we missed out on the tornado last week. That was up in northwest Arkansas. You got to go north by 130 miles before you get to that path of that tornado that we went through.
Shoot.
So we missed out on that. Although we did have some high winds, I'm still not sure if it was wind shear or whether it was just some straight line winds, but it had the sound of a EF0, one of those that's going 50, 60 miles an hour, come right by the house. We had one last year. We got a great big old heavy garbage can, blew it way over in the neighbor's yard.
Oh, wow.
And uprooted a couple of small trees. This time there was no uprooted trees. That's why I'm thinking it may just be some heavy straight line winds. Well, to start with tonight, we're going to discuss a little movie the two of you were involved in with a star I believe a lot of people have heard of. Can you tell us a little bit first? Can you set up the location for everybody who may not know where this location is? Because we want to talk about them a little bit too.
Oh, definitely. Amanda, that is all you.
Okay. The location that we chose, I will first say the reason that we chose it was because it hasn't been televised as far as an investigation goes. And of course, it has this really like horrific and sordid history. It's now called the Grand Old Lady Hotel, and it was formerly known as the Balsam Mountain Inn. And it's located in Balsam, North Carolina, right in the heart of the Smoky Mountains, where it's pretty central between Asheville, North Carolina, and the Cherokee Indian Reservation. But the hotel itself, it was built during the railroad days. It was built right along where Rutherford Trace came through. It was built right at the turn of the century, so it's more than 100 years old, and it's a little over 40,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it have
I'm sorry?
Did it have any Native American history in the area?
It did. All of the land in this area. I actually currently live about
Yes.
6 miles from the inn. And I'm about 20 minutes from central reservation land, about probably 10 to 12 minutes from the line to drive onto the reservation. So this whole area was all Native American land. And like I said, Rutherford Trace came through like 200 yards in front of the hotel. So it's
Wow.
it's got some Civil War history, Native American history. It was like a bustling railroad town, and there was a station, or not a station, but a stop right in front of the hotel. So during the early 1900s, you had a lot of travelers on the railroad come through, and it's continued since. And it's a beautiful location. It's a really gorgeous building. It's known to some people as the Stanley of the South, and the reason is because it's like kind of hidden in plain sight. It's you go on the back side of this mountain, you would think nothing is there. You turn the corner and there's this gigantic structure. So it is very similar to the look of the Stanley, and like how you would drive up the mountains to get there and you would never know it was there till you get to it, sort of deal. So
Is it active? Is it open, or is it abandoned, or what's the story?
I believe it went up for sale about a year ago. So it hasn't been functioning as a hotel for about a year. But up until then, it was, just functioning as an inn at business as usual, basically.
Oh, what happened?
And I think
Did COVID kill it off or something?
Between COVID and I know that the owner, after we filmed there, the owner had some pretty intense experiences. And I think that it was just a combination of everything. Was just, she was kind of over it. That would be my assumption. So.
Okay. You have something you wanted to say?
I think before ghost hunts there. I know a few teams that had gone, but I don't think it was very many.
Okay. So this has not been investigated very much at all, and not I call commercial when they actively open it up for paid investigation, and no TV shows. Okay. Tell me a little bit about how did you? I'm assuming, Amanda, you found this since it's very close to your location. Is that correct?
Actually, we all kind of had a hand in it. Maeve also spent the biggest portion of her life living right down the road from me too. So she and I both know the area really well. And I mean, it was just, I don't remember exactly how it happened. It just kind of fell into place. I wouldn't say that I chose it though, for sure.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a team effort in choosing this place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all kind of came together and ended up, this was the most appropriate location for what we needed. So.
Okay. I'm halfway familiar with that area because, by the way, I'm originally from Columbus, Georgia.
Okay. So
and we used to go on vacations in the area where you're talking about up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Some of the in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, some around some of the Cherokee area.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm halfway familiar. I used to explore that area quite extensively as a child, but I've never
Yeah.
been to this particular location. So this location is new to me, and I'm sure new to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's why we chose it.
Okay. During your, I'm sure you had preliminary investigations, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. We sure did.
Did you run into anything really, or you don't want to talk about it too much because that expose the movie too much?
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much because we do want people to watch the film.
Of course, of
It's
course.
there's a lot. We caught a lot of evidence. We had a lot of experiences. A couple that I've been sort of talking about are a couple that haven't made it on. They didn't make it into the film for one reason or another. They didn't make it in. But when we did the preliminary investigation, we all chose a room in one hallway. There was only a handful of us there. And so it was in the wintertime and the power was off to the building. And she actually turned on the power to this one hallway for us, basically, so we would have the heat, the window units to sleep. And she had warned us that, you know, sometimes it will trip the breaker, but when it does, it'll take that whole hallway out and you have to come back out and you know, flip the breaker back or whatever. And through the night, it just kept taking my room. About every 15
Wow.
minutes, the power would go off just in my room. So that was an experience that I thought was strange because it wasn't, you know, shutting down that whole side of the hall like it was supposed to be. So that was a pretty cool one. And then during filming, a roaring sound came from down the hall, and we went to check that out, thinking that maybe it was just one of the window units or a bigger heating box or something going. And one of the ceiling fans had cut on in the last room on the right on the second floor, and the only way for that to have happened would have been the switch or the pull cord. So that one didn't make it into the film either. But we did have loads of these experiences.
Okay. For the people who are maybe listening that are not really into TV or movie production, there's a lot of role that goes into making these that don't make the final cut. So
right.
I can understand that, but I just want to clarify that for people listening.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were lucky enough. This was one of those locations that we were lucky enough to get more than we needed. So,
oh, hey, that's a good problem to have when you have
right?
too much.
Yeah, we've definitely been to locations where we've gotten nothing. So I'm always appreciative when we get that good stuff.
Well, let me ask you this: is this the first time you've worked with Kane?
It is. Yeah.
Yes.
How was it working with him? Is he as intimidating and as he is? You know,
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he is a very intimidating guy.
He is who you see. He was very serious about the investigation. You know, he has a bit of a paranormal background himself. He has his own team, and so he walked through the door saying, "If it, you know, just to be clear, if I catch anybody faking anything or making noises or whatever, then I'm walking." And of course, we were like, "That's great," because that's our policy too. So, but he was a lot of fun. He was very kind. Like Maeve said, she learned a lot from him, and so did I as an investigator. So it was really cool.
So intimidating, though.
Okay, how long have each one of you worked in the paranormal?
Oh gosh. And you guys are breaking up just a little bit. So if I overtalk you, I'm very sorry because I'm getting a little bit of a lag. This happened last time too. But I've been investigating since the 90s, basically. I grew up, my mom used to do stuff like this. So it's just kind of been going at it since I was a teenager.
Okay. What about you, Amanda?
I've been doing it with a team since 2013. I'd started a little bit before that, just doing things on my own, but I got Maeve actually linked me up with the team that she had been talking to, and and the rest is history from there. So I've been hard at it since about 2013.
Okay. I myself had my first experience when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I've been part of either investigated by myself for several years now or part of a team for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
So we got all about the same experience. And I would personally, just a personal opinion real quick, I would love to investigate McCain because we investigate about the same way from what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times if I'm working with somebody, I'll lay down some rules.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely came in with a set of criteria that he expected from us. So
okay, what kind of lighting do y'all use?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I know that we have the IR lights, but I have no idea. That would be up to production.
Okay,
we got kind of thrown into this one. This one wasn't our equipment or anything like that. So we just kind of had to go with what they had. Okay.
Because I'm one of these, I'm kind of particular about that. Rather than use strictly night vision, I do a lot of full spectrum. You can see behind me the lighting. These are some very weird lights I bought for $1 each.
Huh.
I'm cheap. And they're supposed to be UV lights. And as you can see, they are not. They're actually throwing off more IR light than UV. And everything is pink. And I thought, okay, this actually works out better because this is how I investigate.
Yeah.
With kind of a pink lighting.
Yeah.
Which throws a lot of UV in there with the IR.
Yeah.
So y'all use a lot of the night vision type cameras.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And body cams.
Our producer director, Tony Cadwell, he is artistically, I 100% trust his vision. So we just kind of let him make all those decisions and we rolled with it. Okay.
Since you talked about a little bit of the cast there, can you talk a little bit more about some of the cast and production team?
Sure. Yeah. Like I was just saying, the producer, Tony Cadwell, this is all his vision. And so, we've been really lucky to, come into contact with him and be able to work with him because everything that he envisions, he sees to fruition. And it's just the most amazing thing to watch. We also had Mark Richardson there. Are you familiar with Mark at all?
No, I'm not.
He is a prop guy from out in LA. He worked on the production for Jaws. He was the prop guy for the Power Rangers. He recently worked on Lucifer. I mean, I couldn't even go over his resume. He's done so much stuff. So that's the other guy that was there with us. It was Kane and Mark and Maeve and I.
Okay. Who is actually in the movie?
The four of us. Mm-hmm. Kane and Mark and Maeve and myself.
Okay. I'm assuming everybody got along well, correct?
Oh, we did. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, everybody there was so easy to work with, and everybody. I mean, we just all quickly, like within most cases, we all became like a little family really quick. So.
Oh, very good. That's always nice working like that.
Yeah.
Now, how long did it take you to do this? How many nights were you there? Did you get everything in one night, or was it several nights over a week, or what?
Let's see. I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We filmed for 3 nights. I was actually there. I stayed there for 4 nights, but we filmed for 3 nights. Wasn't that right, Maeve?
Okay.
I believe so. I came in a day late, so I was trailing in. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and so I was a little bit away. So I came in late, but it was like 2 or 3 days.
I think it was 3 nights we filmed. I think we filmed Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night there.
Okay.
I do a lot of investigations. We do a lot, so it's hard to remember exactly.
Were you
they
there
all run together?
Yes, they do. They do.
Sorry, my dog is barking. Will you take him in there with you? Sorry about that, guys. My kids just came in.
Right now, Bones is being quiet. Y'all saw my co-host, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, he's a little quieter than mine.
Yes, the Bones doesn't say a whole lot, but he kind of keep him sitting on the table. Put him on the floor, he tends to hump on my legs. So, did y'all stay up all night filming it, or just a few hours?
So we stayed till we couldn't really make it. So we did stay at the hotel though, so we were there the whole time.
Oh, y'all
so
did
we
sleep
never
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We stayed there.
Yeah, we didn't. And we had the food delivered there. Like we didn't leave once we got there.
Now that's the best way to investigate. That I'm glad to hear that. That's just cool when you can do that. I've done that myself. Investigated hotels, and I just kept on going because I was literally asleep on my feet.
Yeah. Lean up against the wall.
Mm-hmm. Did either one of you get woke up in the middle of the night by something?
I tried to take a nap during one of our breaks. I was exhausted, so I tried to take a nap, and of course, I didn't have a camera. So, but I was laying there, and the dresser drawer slammed real hard in the room I was in.
Wow.
And I was like, and it startled me. I was like half asleep, and it startled me. And I texted my husband and was like, "You're gonna have to talk to me while I get up and get out of here." So it startled me pretty good that time. But of course, I didn't have a camera.
Of course.
I'm gonna tell the story, Maeve. I'm sorry. I love you, but I'm telling it.
Oh God.
In my room, the room that the power kept shutting off in, Maeve comes in and decides to use my bathroom. And so she goes in there to pee, and something grabs her from behind, and she literally falls off.
It was horrible. It was so bad. I came crawling out of there. It was terrifying. Definitely had some moments.
I ended up bailing on that room and sleeping in the library, though.
Yes, we both did. We both did. It was funny.
I was not going back in that room anymore. We were done.
Can't even go to the bathroom in peace.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. And I saw a comment from Eric, and he asked, so the movie was you investigating? And it was just us. It was us and Kane. Me, Kane, Amanda, and Mark Richardson.
So that's a lot of experience. Of course, it sounded like you needed your experience there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really active place, a lot more active as a whole than what we're used to. So, yeah, I would think that had we gone there and done this early on in our career, it would have been much more intense for us than what it was this go around.
And I'm still startled.
Wow. To tell you a little bit about me, y'all remember that several paranormal shows went down to the Sedansville Rectory back when it was
the what now? I think you cut out a little bit on me.
Popular.
Yeah, I can hear.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said, did y'all, either one of you ever hear about the Sedansville Rectory? It was on several of the TV shows.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I remember a rectory on one. It's probably that one.
Yes. Probably was. I don't remember them doing another rectory.
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures wouldn't even go in there without a priest.
Wow.
And as investigating in a team, that was one of my first team investigations was the rectory. So I broke in a very active, exciting place.
Yeah. Our
It
first
sounds like a great place. I was just Googling it a little bit. So
Maeve and I's first real investigation together was Waverly Hills. So we did the same thing. Like our first real one, we went big.
That's the way to be. If you want to be the big time investigator, go to the big time places.
Yeah.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. And in this one, if you want to be the paranormal investigator, you got to go to the paranormal places. That's the way I've always looked at it.
That's right. So that, I mean, it begs the question: at the rectory, what did you experience there? Did you feel like you needed a priest while you were in there?
I am one to. I'm kind of like Cain. I go in there with an attitude that I'm not going to be scared.
Right.
At the time I went in there, I was having knee issues. I hadn't had the one replaced yet, or did I? I don't remember. Anyway, I've got 2 fake knees, by the way. So I was told that they'll last 14 to 15 years unless I take a running program up. If I take up a running program, they'll last only 6 to 7 years, half of the normal usage.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go through that surgery again.
Yeah.
So I had not run in years, so I have not trained myself to run at all.
Yeah.
So as a result, I can't run across the room.
Yeah.
So when I go in a place, running is not an option for me.
Yeah.
As far as the rectory goes, the couple I was down there with, there was a church next door. By the time Ghost Adventures got there, the church was torn down. We were some of the last investigators actually going to the church. We had to jump over a hole into the basement. So this is about a 12-foot drop, and the hole was about 4.5, 5 feet across, and we had to jump over that hole to start with, which was interesting with the 3 of us. Yes. All 3 of us in our 50s, and one woman, and we managed to jump over the hole. And I was being followed in there so closely that we were there kind of in a little bit of the winter times, and it was not freezing, but it was in the very low 40s temperature wise.
Yeah.
Outside, and of course the church was the same temperature inside because it'd been abandoned. It was tore all to pieces inside.
Right.
And I said, okay, if you're gonna follow me around, but you don't want my equipment around. I had a shirt, a jacket, a vest holding my equipment. I took everything off down to a t-shirt. And said, look, I have no defenses. I have no equipment. If you want to talk to me, I'm listening. But don't follow me around. Don't be behind my back when I turn around, you leave. But he wouldn't, face me face to face. Right. There's also one that if you go in the attic, he'll go to the basement. And if you're in the basement, he'll go up to the attic. The only way to catch him is to have one, preferably 2 team members in each location.
Right.
That's what's interesting about
just that. Just to head him off at the pass?
Yes. There was also one. By the way, the place has been thoroughly cleaned out. It got several years ago. They brought some Catholic priest in and cleaned the place out. And last I heard, they don't want anybody with the paranormal even around the place anymore.
Right.
They don't want them at the street because they got the spirits cleaned out. They don't want somebody like us to bring something with them or
to drum it back up. Yeah. I get it.
But there was rumors, there was no paperwork, that a priest was murdered there. And I was having leg problems, obviously, and I had been on my feet for several hours, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I went in there and laid down on that bed.
Yeah.
Where he got killed. And of course, I turned off all the lights and sat there with a full spectrum camera and only had the 3 little LED IR lights that's built into the camera.
Right.
For light. In other words, the only light I had was the screen on the video camera. And I was not alone the entire time. Every once in a while, there's a little bit of light coming through the curtains in the window. Something would flash by between me and the curtains. So something was walking around the bed.
Right.
And nobody wanted to come up even upstairs by themselves. And nobody was going in that room by themselves.
Right.
And I was in that room by myself for almost an hour. Somebody finally come up there.
Were you completely freaked out?
No, I don't. It's hard to freak me out.
Yeah.
I just started filming just in case something showed up on camera, and reviewing the video, nothing showed.
Yeah. What you saw with your eyes didn't show on the camera?
No, you may have seen a little bit of flash, but that could be on the video. That could be anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get the 3D effect, how far away it is. It
Right.
may have been on the camera, it may have been a car going by or just a limb blowing outside the window or something.
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting place. One other group there was a vent there. Just as they were walking through the room in the preliminary walkthrough, the vent blew out of the wall.
Wow.
We did catch the sound of a dog barking, kind of like yours earlier,
Mm-hmm.
in the basement, because the place was used for dog fighting in the basement.
That's awful.
Oh, wow. We're having thunder here.
Oh, gosh.
It's crazy.
Wintertime
right
thunder.
Yes. No wind, I don't think, but we are having a little bit of rain. We're having a little bit of thunder. So thank goodness I changed my internet a couple of months ago and went with non-satellite. But can either one of you or both of you tell me, both of you have your own groups? Is that correct? Am I correct in that?
No, we're in a group together.
You're your group together.
Yeah.
Just the two of us. Yeah.
Yeah. The team that we are in now is just Maeve and I. Yeah. We created it together. It's called Wicked Wonders. And what we wanted to do with Wicked Wonders is kind of branch out a little bit from just the paranormal. And, we want to hunt cryptids. We want to, cover aliens and horror and freak shows and just, anything abnormal. Maeve and I we're down and we're doing it and we're having these adventures. And, after all these years, and you can probably relate to this some too, is we just got a little bored with just doing the paranormal. So we got together and left our teams and decided we were going to go at this alone.
Okay. I'm alone because kind of have to be. I live, if you listen to the intro, yes, I do live in Southeast Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I live a mile from the city limits of Star City, a population of 2,400 people.
Wow.
Little community I live in, Cane Creek Township, has maybe 30 people.
Wow. I'm from a small town, but not quite that small.
And I live on the road here is dirt. The road behind us is paved coming from the main road down the street. It's about half a mile behind me, but it only goes up maybe a quarter of a mile paved, and then it turns to dirt.
Wow.
And I've got a neighbor now behind me who bought a tremendous amount, the lots here are measured in 4-acre lots. And he bought several 4-acre lots, and it looks like he's building a ranch back here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
He cleared it all off, took all the trees down, building a big home. So we got a little bit of construction going on. Yeah, but our lot is 4 acres large.
Yeah.
Of course, y'all, you're talking about cryptids.
Yeah.
Y'all are living in an area where you might could find something.
Yeah.
Yep.
They say the forests here are magical. Like the people in just across the state line in Tennessee say that their forests are dark and eerie. And then you cross over into the North Carolina side, and that we have all the magic over here. Mm-hmm. But Balsam is the heart of Boojum country. Have you ever heard of the Boojum?
I've heard about it, but go ahead and explain it, please.
Yeah, well, the Boojum is just the Bigfoot of our area, and the history of the Boojum goes back to a woman named Annie who fell in love with this Bigfoot creature, and when she would go out to the woods to find him daily, or whatever, she would like hoop and holler, and so that's where Hootenanny came from. The term Hootenanny was circulated around the Boojum here in this area.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting, falling in love with a cryptid.
Yeah. Well, that's the story.
That's what happens in the mountains.
There's all the legends that the Native Americans around here have as well. And we're not really far from the Brown Mountain Lights, and Cashers, North Carolina it's less than an hour away. And that's a huge UFO sighting area. So it's kind of all around us here.
Okay. Can y'all talk about some of the adventures y'all have gotten into during your investigations?
You got all
so many. So many.
What?
We like to.
Well, you remember this
ahead.
is a 2-hour show, so we've got time.
Maybe
So we tend to find, like, when we go investigating, we find the place, and we usually find all the craziness around that place that we can go see. So anything,
Well, on our way to
I can't
Sweet
even
Springs, we ended up at the Shawnee Lake Amusement Park. That ended up being a really cool place to visit. When we did a weekend in Gettysburg, and we ended up on the other side of the Devil's Den looking for the Wendigo. I mean, and honestly, and we talk about this a lot, but we have so many experiences in our hotels.
Yes.
As crazy as that sounds, like, we'll go on these trips, whether it's to a horror con or a haunted asylum or what have you. Everywhere we go, it seems like when we get back to the hotel, and it could be like a hojo, you would never think that no haunted history whatsoever. And then we end up with like craziness going on in the hotel room. And that happens more often than not.
Almost every time.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand perfectly.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to talk about myself when I got guests, but this is something, since you brought this up. 5 years ago, this summer, I was investigating the Andrew Jackson Hotel in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I was there for 2 nights, and I was going out both nights investigating the supposedly most busiest rooms in the hotel, and did spend about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, investigating a former slave quarters down the street. What was interesting, we found out soon after arriving to our room that we were the guests and we had a host. He liked to sit in a chair, and I flipped on. I use sometimes an Echo Vox. It's basically a form of ghost box. And we got his name, and it got where we could turn that on and say hello when we walked into the room, and he would say hello back. And while I was investigating the hotel, my wife was in the room watching Game of Thrones, binge watching it. This ghost was watching Game of Thrones with her.
Wow.
So I know what you mean about weird stuff going on in your own room. So
yeah,
been there, done that. I can understand some of the weird stuff.
Well, we're on the road a lot, and sometimes we see stuff like on the interstate that is just ridiculous. And I'll never forget, we were going to Raleigh or something, and there was a man on the bridge, and I kid you not, like, it sat with me for a while, but he was running backwards, like hoofing it backwards. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and it took us a minute to really process that one. That one was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was totally weird. It was on the overpass above the interstate, and it looked as if somebody had just hit the rewind button, and he was looking backward.
So he was running completely backwards without seeing where he was going.
Exactly.
And going fast.
Like booking it backwards.
Yeah. It was as if somebody had just hit a rewind button.
It was so weird.
Going backwards. Yeah, it was something.
Like the old videotapes when you hit reverse, backing it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Still, one of the scariest things that's ever happened, for me anyway, like it was the one time in my adult life that I have been too scared to move. This is the only time that's ever happened, but we had just done an investigation at a place in Greensboro. It's a Halloween haunt is what it is, but the property goes back to a farm that was there, and it's just a couple of miles from the bloodiest Revolutionary War battle that took place. Neither here nor there. After it was all said and done, we went back to the hotel, and I mean, again, it was like a Holiday Inn or like an Econo Lodge or something, and had no problem at all falling right to sleep. But we were it's the one and only time we were in a suite. So the bedroom was a separate room from the rest of the room.
Right.
And I woke up, speaking for myself, I woke up through the night a couple of times and heard rustling in the living room area. And I just maybe assumed that maybe the producer had come in or something, because a lot of the equipment was in there. And I just kind of reasoned with myself that it was probably him and went back to sleep. And through the night, I bet it woke me up at least 8 or 10 times. But the last time it woke me up, it sounded like somebody was like scooting a dresser across the carpet. Like, and I laid in bed and listened to it come through the living room, down that hall, and to the foot of our bed. And it was so dark in there, I couldn't see in front of my hand. And I was like literally just laying there pretending to be asleep.
Which is exactly what I was doing.
And
I was terrified.
We were able to fall back asleep. And it was funny because the next morning, Maeve and I woke up and we just kind of looked at each other like, did you hear that? We were both too scared to acknowledge. I had no idea she was awake and she had no idea I was awake, but we were both too scared to move. But we were able to fall back asleep. And then at some point, right around daylight that morning, on the wall behind our bed, it was just the loudest, just thud, kind of both, jump up like, whoa, and I just assumed, it's the people in the room behind us. People are probably getting up early or whatever. And we actually went in there and checked, and there was no room behind us. There was just a tiny little closet there, but we were the last room on the hall. So I don't know what the boom was, but that was following like the whole night of being like harassed by whatever it was in that room. So
did you try to talk to it at all, or just?
I was too scared to open my eyes. I laid there like a child.
I just wanted to sleep,
thinking if I don't move, then it won't see me.
If I pretend to be asleep, it will leave me alone.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna even budge because I don't want it to know I'm awake. Whatever this is, I don't want it to know I'm awake.
Sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does work. I was here at the house one night, and I was in the chat room of another show on Saturday nights. He didn't start up till 2:00 Central Time, so don't crank up till 3:00 Eastern Time.
Right.
And I had right now I also got Facebook open, but I don't know why, but I'm going to cut it off. Anyway, I had 2 tabs open, and I was looking at a hotel, which my wife and I are thinking about going to the next year or so, and reading up on what the haunts are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was running his ghost box on the West Coast, by the way. So he's several hundreds of miles from me physically. And all of a sudden, I'm in the other tab, and all of a sudden the voice comes in, Lafitte. And then came through again, Lafitte, then stairs, then a woman's name, and the name was not a woman, it was a child that got injured on the stairs, whose picture I was looking at, who's one of the haunted areas of this hotel. It's the Lafitte Hotel in New Orleans. And this was coming over his ghost box on the West Coast.
Wow.
So whatever spirits he was talking to had actually come through the internet, come into my house here in Arkansas. He's up in Washington, I believe, and saw what I was looking at in the other tab and was naming words from that tab. I came back into the chat room and started telling the host that, and he just sat there stunned. He didn't know whether to cut the stuff off in the session or what.
Wow.
Because he thought a couple of times they said Lafayette, but then he got to listening and they were saying Lafitte. And everybody was hearing it and typing it in the room.
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that before.
It happens. But later, the reason I'm mentioning this right now is you were talking about spirits appeared in our house. The wife was woken up in the middle of the night now. By her bed was surrounded by several ghosts who woke her up. So she came to the bathroom raising sand about, your ghosts are waking me up. And when she went back to bed, I looked over at her computer and there was about 5 spirits standing there staring at her computer, wondering why they couldn't dive through the internet and get back to where they belonged.
Holy
because
cow.
the computer was turned off. I had to get up and demanded that all the spirits leave the house and walked away from the computer. So if they wanted to get back through the wiring, they could.
Wow.
But I had to run the spirits out of the house.
I mean, it's such a conductor, I can imagine. Yeah, that is terrifying. That's crazy. That's like our time warps that we have, Maeve.
Yeah, yes.
Just unexplainable. Like when we tell people about it, they think we're crazy, but like
it sounds so crazy.
Every now and then we find it like
go ahead and talk about it. Give us some more details, please. We got about 12 minutes before we're going to break.
Okay, so for instance, our first team, we spent a lot of time in Raleigh, and it takes us a good 4.5 hours to get there every single time we go, which is very regularly. One day we took off to go. We left an hour late. We were booking, trying to get down there, and somehow we got there 2.5 hours early.
Really?
It took us 2.5 hours to get there, and it takes us 4.5 every single time. Another time we were in St. Albans Sanitarium, and our base camp was right outside of a staircase, and we would continually use this one staircase. The place is kind of set up like a maze, but every time we went down a staircase, it came out the same staircase. It came out somewhere different. Not only that, but when we did the tour of the building, we visited every single area. And there were a good handful of areas in that building that we couldn't find. It was if we went down the right hall and then it was just a dead end, where when we went before, I'm sure it was not a dead end. Yeah.
And there was a time, like I said, we're in the car a lot, and I was talking to my husband. We were coming back from somewhere, and I was on the phone with my husband, and he said, well, where are you guys at? And I told him where we were. I told him what exit we were at. And then we just kept talking and kept driving. And so it was like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And he's like, well, what exit are you guys at? And I was like, well, hold on a second. And then we came up on it, and I told him, he was like, that's where you just were.
Yeah, he's like, that's the same exit number.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we experienced this.
So we went by that same exit twice. So I don't.
Yeah. Unless there's 2 exits on I-40 that are like 30 miles apart that have the same number.
Maybe. Who knows?
That is strange. You have any explanations, any theories about that? How that happens?
I don't question it.
Aliens.
Yeah.
I go straight to aliens. That's the only thing that scares me at all, is the thought of aliens, and I think that's pretty much what I'm just going to chalk it up to.
Okay. Because I had a little something experience back in the several years ago. I was living in Chicago. By the way, I've only lived in Arkansas now for 6 years. December 1st was my 6-year anniversary of living here in Arkansas. Lived 14 and a half years in Chicago. My wife's a native Chicagoan. Anyway, we went to a place called the Original Mineral Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Not the one everybody hears about. This one was not in Alton. It was in Oakville. And it was a perfectly functioning hotel. One that built on and added to over the years, been around for over a century. We were investigating that. I'm not going to go into everything. It's too long of a story. But we were in the back, and I was with a lady who has some psychic abilities. And she said there was 3 mob guys around the break room table. Because that's where we were, in the employee break room. In a massage area. With hot springs, you had, the bathtubs where you go in the hot springs and dip down in there, drink water, and you got back massages too that help loosen you up. And I could vaguely, she could see it better than I could, see something sitting in the chair in the room. And she said, I wonder what would happen if I sat in her lap. She had lots of spunk too. I said, there's only one way to find out. So she turned around and sat down in the same chair the biggest guy was, obviously the leader. Well, all 3 of them jumped up and ran through the door.
Were they offended?
They just whoop, right through the door without opening the door, big swing door. And I immediately started following them. I cracked the door, and we'd had a ghost box operating 40, 50 feet away that we had in this small town. There's no radio stations, and we wasn't picking up anything. She didn't have the antenna extended, that little bitty radio on the SB7.
Yeah.
Wasn't picking up any radio signal whatsoever. Nothing, not a word, not a sound. So we got nothing but static for several hours. And all of a sudden we heard voices over it all of a sudden. So we said, that's the ghost box. And all this happened within about a half a second. I opened the door, we heard the ghost box, and we said, that's the ghost box. And we ran out virtually on the heels of the 3 guys who had just ran through the door. Because we were literally open the door right on their heels. Well, when we opened the door, it was dark. It was nearing sunrise, but it was dark in the hallway. Right. We took 3 steps, and the sun was up, shining in the window in the room down the hall. So all of a sudden, the hallway was bright.
Yeah.
So when we walked into the hallway, you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. 2 steps
how many
later,
steps? 2 steps.
2 to 3 steps, you could have read a newspaper where we were standing.
See, you found one of those time warps too.
Yeah. My theory is that we either went through a time warp or we went through a portal and emerged, because, a human body is not supposed to be on the other side.
Right.
And one of the interesting coincidences, a couple of years later, the psychic almost died of cancer. And I actually had to have some skin cancer removed from our left shoulder. So it's kind of funny. It was both getting cancer after being somewhere where we didn't need to be.
Right. Wow.
So I can understand the time slips too.
Yeah. People don't believe us when we talk about it. Everything we say is real. It happened at one point or another. So.
And what's funny is I've got this on video because I had a camcorder on a tripod back close to the ghost box, and you could hear us hit the door and say that's the ghost box, and then you don't hear anything for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you hear us coming down the hall saying, "How did it get so bright in here?"
Wow.
And during that time, you could actually see it getting brighter in the room.
Wow.
Now, the camcorder on my hand that was running, it just goes from dark to light, like somebody turned the lights on.
But on the other camera, it took 2 to 3 minutes.
It took several minutes, yes.
Wow. Yeah, that is weird.
It
I have no
is very
explanation
weird.
It's a good tale. I like that.
I got the video to back it up, which is what I try to do. I always have a camcorder on me and try to keep it running, except when I'm sleeping or something.
Yeah, since we've been working with Tony, we are much better about having a camera on all the time. It took a number of productions of him saying, catch it on camera. It didn't happen. So now we're a little better about keeping a camera going all the time now.
Yes.
I often say that we think that, or I think personally that there's two different types of investigators. You've got people who are there for the evidence and you've got people who are there for the experience. And Maeve and I for years have been very experience oriented investigators and a little less concerned with getting the evidence. But when you cross over into, trying to make this entertaining for other people, then of course you have to keep a camera on all the time. So
let me ask you this question. What do you do with your evidence after you found it, you've recorded it, and you see it when you review it? What do you do with it?
I make everyone in my family listen to it.
To be honest, we haven't done much with it up until we started filming it and really trying to document it. Before that, we didn't really do much with it. I personally,
it's all on my laptop.
I don't know how many hours of audio that I have, but it just kind of sits in the computer. We talk about it sometimes. We share it with each other. We should put it on the webpage. I'm not very tech savvy and I'm not very tech motivated. So I'm having a tough time being on top of the webpage, being on top of the Facebook page, and being really communicative. I'm not really great with that. So
we're not good at it at all. We're trying. We're working on our Facebook page, but
I can understand perfectly. I did not like going up and down because just like you guys, it made no sense. You doubted yourself. I'm glad you talked about it. Greg, if you don't know Greg Coss, he is a very experienced paranormal investigator. In fact, he'll be appearing on my show. I don't have my calendar in front of me, in February, I believe, or January.
Oh, good.
And I'll also be appearing on. He's got his own show. Not this month. He took a hiatus for December, but I'll be appearing on his show.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's you get me and him on that. That's also a lot of experience, and I always like to have Greg around in the chat room because he's been a lot of places that I have not. Yeah. And that's a lot of experience in the room when he and I get to talking. So let's see. It is 8:00. It is time for a break. So I'm going to go ahead and just put y'all back in the green room for a minute.
Okay.
And
sounds good.
I could just anyway go to black and like I said, go ahead and put my commercials. You got to sell stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you have a show for. So we'll be back in a minute. All right.
Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Rochester Winter Parafest is back, March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah! Good job. Oh.
All right, we are back. Got our commercials done, a little break done. Of course, I couldn't take a whole lot of break because I got to turn the commercials off. Over about it, at least took 30 seconds for a break. All right, now where in the world were we? Now we stopped talking about Buddy the Bigfoot. Hey, he's a great guy. I've never met him in person because he's way up in the New York area, but I've spoken with him by internet. He's a great guy, puts on a great show wherever he goes. He's fantastic with kids. He's a good human being. So
that's awesome.
You know, anybody wants to pay him to appear at one of their events, that's just fine. I'm happy to advertise for him.
I'm kind of disappointed he's not down here, actually. I was thinking that when I was watching that.
This is true, because hanging around him would be funny. I may have him on in the future. He doesn't say a whole lot. He just gestures. But I may get him to appear at least for a few minutes. Anybody ever heard of Amelia Cotter?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
She lived in New England. She's written a ghost about some of her experiences in New England. And since she moved to Chicago, some of her experiences in Chicago. But she's also written a book, Breakfast with Bigfoot. That's about a little girl that gets lost in the woods, and a Bigfoot finds her and feeds her.
Aww.
I need that book.
And keeps her safe. Look for it, Amelia Cotter, Breakfast with Bigfoot.
That sounds cool.
And I believe it's available on Amazon, like all books are.
That needs to be on my bookshelf for sure.
Okay. Do y'all have any more experiences, either with a cryptid or with a ghost, y'all want to talk about?
I've had so many. I mean, we've had so many. I mean,
do you want to talk about the campground? What was the name of that place?
Smoke
Where we
Mom.
almost died.
Yeah, that was a really interesting experience. There's a campground on the Cherokee Indian Reservation called Smokemont, and it's off of a 2-lane road. You turn off onto this tiny little road that you wouldn't think went anywhere. Nobody would choose to go down this road, but it used to be a logging community. And when you first go into the campground, it would have been where they lived, and the further you get up onto the property, it was where they actually worked and logged. But there's a trail there. There's my ex-husband and I, his family would go there for Memorial Day weekend every year, and they camped there. It was like their family tradition. And so I had gone with them a couple years in a row, and I heard them talking about the stories of this this lady that was out there, the ghost of this lady that was near one of the restrooms. There's a trail that goes back, and the trail goes over 3 footbridges. And then it splits at the end and it wraps in a circle around the mountain, right? So you can hike a little circle and come back down. And
how long a trail we're talking about? You're talking
it's
about
about
the mountain.
20-minute hike. It's not really bad. It kind of goes up the mountain around the peak and then right back down. It's a small mountain. It's nothing treacherous or anything like that. But that's just the layout of the land where we were. And the first experience that I had there, it was myself and my ex-husband and a couple of his family members, and we had went looking for the lady after the rest of the family had gone to sleep. And we're all standing in the woods. We've got our lights turned off, and I can only speak for what I saw detail-wise, but it looked like a dress floating over the water. And it's so dark that I'm like trying to concentrate on it. Like, is it mist? Is it fog? Are my eyes playing tricks on me? And it shot all at once, just directly at us. And I went, and I turned my light on, and everybody saw it. Everybody was silent. Nobody mentioned it. We all just kind of stood there and watched it together. So with that said, the next year, Maeve and I decided to go back out to that same area just to see if we had any experiences. And one of the legends, one of the tales of the place is that if you look up on the mountain, you can see the what looks like a lantern being carried, like a flame lantern. And so the firefly phenomenon also comes through there. So there's around that time of year, there's a lot of lightning bugs out there. And we have crossed all 3 footbridges. We're at the split of the trail, and there's this one lightning bug that's not blinking. It's just a light. And we're just standing there, kind of watching it, and it comes all the way down the hill to about 10 feet in front of us. And now that third footbridge is 10, 12 feet above the creek that goes underneath it. And
the creek's not deep.
It isn't. It's you can play and splash around in it, but there's no swimming in this creek or anything like that. But we're watching this lightning bug that's not blinking come towards us. And then all of a sudden and this sounds crazy, but it sounds like a train is coming.
Sounded like a tornado.
Right.
It's like a tornado. It's
really
so loud.
loud. It's so loud we're having to yell at each other to hear each other. And we all kind of have this moment where it's like, what is that noise? What is that noise? And then all of a sudden, this wall of water comes down this creek. And we just take off running. And Maeve was the last one.
I'm slow.
But by the time Maeve got over the footbridge, the water was over the footbridge. So it
was, my shoes were wet. It got my pants wet.
In a matter of seconds, that water rose like 10 feet. And There's nothing above the campground. There's no levees. There was no cloud burst. There was no dam. There's no explanation. The weirdest part to me, honestly, though, was because there's sections of that creek that are really close to the campsites. And we come running out of there. Like, we're panicking. We're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like, just completely freaked out. And we're looking around at all these families that are like eating their hot dogs. Like, they didn't even notice. You didn't hear that? You know, I mean, it was crazy. But, you know, later we hear legend of how, you know, it'll like lure you in and then trap you in. That's something that happens a lot on the reservation. That's like, you know, they've told stories for years about that. So it almost felt like we were being distracted by this light so that we would get trapped in those woods.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. I don't know how paranormal that was, but
we checked to see if there were any like cloud bursts or it hadn't been raining beforehand. I mean, it is a mountain. Yeah. We understand that.
Yeah,
but there wasn't any
dam or a hatchery or anything above, and there was not.
Well, all right. Sounds like some interesting personal experiences for both of you.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's get back to the reason we're here.
Yes.
And that's the movie. Is there anything else that you could talk about the movie itself, either in the making, the production? You've already said who was in it, who kind of made it. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you can talk to us without, you know, blowing the movie for somebody?
We do have some footage. I think they released the first part of the movie shows this interaction that we had with the swinging doors in the kitchen. And that was during the pre-investigation, and it went on for a really long time. So they cut it down a little bit. But that's available, I think, on the Paranormal 13 website. And I think I've shared it on my personal page too. But they did release that so we can the doors, Amanda, I think you could probably explain it better because you explained it to Kane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, basically, the kitchen has two swinging doors. And I want to say they swing in like this, but actually they're like this. So they would swing, you know, in and out this way. And at first we kind of thought, well, there's some airflow coming through because, you know, one door would move a little and then this door would move a little and that sort of thing. And so we stood there for a long time and tried to kind of debunk what was going on. But we started having experiences where we could say, can you move just this one door? And one door would move, the other door wouldn't. And it's just one little alleyway, one little hallway going into the kitchen. So both doors would have been affected by wind or airflow or anything like that. The most profound thing for me, as far as the doors were concerned, and again, when you see the film, make your own conclusions, but the door on the right, you know, this had been going on for several minutes. And at this point, we're kind of chatting with each other, trying to figure out, you know, again, reason with what all this could be. And the door on the right opens and holds itself open for several minutes. And that's what sort of led me to kind of say, this has got to be something paranormal, because the other door is sitting still. This door is, you know, open and then stays there for several minutes before it's finally dropped and it goes back to closed position. So the kitchen in that place was scary anyway, though. The kitchen scared me more than anywhere in the building, really. I was the most uncomfortable in that kitchen.
Yeah. Now, these are usually kind of heavy doors in a kitchen like this.
They're solid wood doors, and they want, you know, they go both ways. They're swinging doors, so they want to close, you know, unless there's some sort of force, they want to close. So, yeah.
Right. They usually go right back to the center.
Exactly. They fall right back into place every time. And you'll see in the film, too, that we had a lot of activity with these doors for several minutes, and then we left a camera on it. And for the biggest part of the remainder of the night, the doors didn't move. So, and I always say that sometimes when you get a lot of activity and then it stops, that's just as telling, if not more telling, than if it just continued all night. So,
yes, because if it continues all night, you got to wonder maybe this is just normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Did it happen again, or was just a short period and
It
stopped?
did happen again. It did happen
For
again.
just a
Yeah.
second. It closed at the end, I think.
There was quite a bit of movement when it started back up on that stationary camera. It was more distinct movement. I will tell you that. It was bigger movements with the doors and that sort of thing. So, but again, just for a few minutes, and then it stopped again. So.
Okay. Anything else before we move on?
I think Kane actually came out and said, and wanted, I forget where it was at, but he said it a couple times, and I think he says it in the movie, that he doesn't get scared. He's very analytical in the way he investigates. And he said that this was the most uncomfortable he's ever been on an investigation. So to me, that was kind of something.
Yeah. Yeah, Kane had some pretty profound experiences there, and I won't go into any more detail than that. If you want to know, you're going to have to watch. But you know, yeah, I was impressed to see really how much interaction was sort of tailored around him, which was really neat. Considering that he has always kind of maintained that, even with his team, you know, when they be getting a lot of activity or whatever, and then as soon as he comes in the room, it stops. You know, he kind of was like, you know, I feel like I scare him off type of deal. But he said that a handful of times in that location. And you know, when you say things in front of these entities, sometimes they will absolutely call your bluff. And that very well could be what happened here.
I know what you mean. Some ghosts shy away from, you know, somebody who's, I call it kind of aggressive. You're not mocking them. You're not talking bad about the ghost, but you come in aggressive and, you know, I'm here.
Right.
You know?
Just in stature.
Yes.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't call Kane's style aggressive, but he does have a very stoic and intimidating presence.
Yes. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit the same way. I'm only 5'9". I'm nowhere near the height of Kane, but I'm also currently about 250 pounds. So sometimes that works to the good. Sometimes it works to the bad.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that sometimes the spirits will hang around the smaller the partner, or sometimes they'll feel a little frisky and want to get the bigger person. It just depends on where you are and who you're dealing with.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, is there? I think you've gone about as far talking about the movie as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give anything. I don't want to give it all away. You know,
right. No, we don't.
I want people to know that if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of Kane, you definitely need to watch this. If you're a fan of the paranormal, it's also a must see. It's something that we're incredibly, incredibly proud of. We've all worked really hard on it, and I think everybody's just really going to receive it well. As a team, Wicked Wonders, our producers, our crew, Kane, all of us kind of went in with the same goal, I guess you could say, that we're not here trying to convince anybody that this is a ghost, that this happened, this is paranormal, this was this entity, this was that entity. We're definitely not in the business of that. What we want to do, and what we've done essentially, is just document the experiences that we had, and we want to share them with the viewers, and then you guys totally decide. I mean, if you feel like you could debunk some of these things, by all means hit us up, because we are all viewers. Yeah, all we can do is just give the viewer the most authentic experience, what we experience, the most authentic experience we can, and then just kind of let you decide what you think happened. So
okay. So let's go on to the one area I definitely want to cover. Exactly where can people see, get, download, buy copies of this movie?
Yeah, for sure. If you want a hard DVD copy, which that one's going to have the bonus footage as well. There were some experiences that we all got so scared that even the camera footage was crazy, so it couldn't be used in the film. But that's going to be in the bonus footage. You can get that DVD copy at on Amazon. You can get it at Walmart.com, Barnes and Noble, or Barnes and Noble, Best Buy. All the major retailers are selling the DVD copy. If you want to watch the streaming copy, that's going to be, it's on Google Play, it's on YouTube, it's on Vudu.
Fandango.
Yeah, Fandango. That's, I think, Vudu and Fandango.
The Vudu.
But yeah, you can rent it there. I think Vudu's got it right now to rent for $3.99. You can buy it, I think, for like $12.99, $13.99. But it's definitely worth the buy. It's a great watch.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say to the movie before we move on? Because we still got about 40 minutes.
I'm trying to think of all the good stuff. Like, there was just, it's a shame. I hate that it's for sale right now, the place, because it is such a beautiful place. I hope somebody that really appreciates history buys it. I hope it doesn't end up getting like torn down for apartments or anything like that. But it is a really beautiful place, even without the ghosts. So I hope people take time and kind of look it up and kind of just check out the grand old lady for what it was.
Does the site itself have a website?
I think she does. I'm not sure if it's like been updated since since it's on the market, but I know you can. It's Googleable.
The cool thing about this place, though, having abilities, like, it's the type of place that one night it feels so comfortable and so homey and just like a retreat. And then other nights it doesn't. It feels dark and scary and like I just wanted to bail. I mean, there was one night in particular during pre-investigation that there was nothing in me that was going up those stairs. Absolutely nothing in me that was going from the first floor to the second floor. Turned straight back around, went back into base camp and said, I'm not feeling this round. Just like it has an eeriness that kind of lingers around the place at times. It's dark, it's creepy and uncomfortable.
Okay. That's a great description. Now, one thing I did not ask, how many floors are in this place? Does it have a basement, an attic? How many main floors?
It has 3 floors plus a basement.
Okay. So the attic is another floor. People that actually got rooms in it. Doesn't have so much.
Yeah.
An attic.
The floors are all identical, except for there's a little branch off of the side of the building where the ballroom and the kitchen are on the first floor, and then right above it was the living quarters for the lady who owned it. But as far as the hotel itself, it makes a U, and it's 3 levels.
Okay. Oh, so it's U-shaped.
The hotel itself is fairly U-shaped. It looked like it may have been built around a courtyard, some sort of garden or something. So.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with that. The one I mentioned earlier in Okraville,
Mm-hmm.
It was just a standalone building when it was first built, and then they built another building to go along with it, and then later they connected those 2 buildings. At one end, they connected it at the other, and had a courtyard in the center where they built the pool.
That's cool.
So they wanted the pool year round, so they ended up putting a roof over their former courtyard.
Yeah. Well, this one they just built around it and left it.
They built around it and left it.
Built around it and left it.
Well, there's a natural spring up there too. And I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but people would come up to the mountains, back in the day when air conditioning wasn't a thing, and they'd come up and cool off, or if there was sicknesses or anything like that, they always tend to come to the mountains to get away from that and for the healing waters. And there's a beautiful natural spring right behind it.
Okay, let's see. Uh, for Greg, uh, can can you go over the name of the place again and what town it's in?
Sure, sure. It's known now as the Grand Old Lady Hotel. It was formerly known as the Balsam Mountain Inn, and it's in Balsam, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Google it. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful structure, and the owners over the years have clearly done a fantastic job of keeping everything as original as possible. So it's like stepping back in time when you go inside this place.
I was going to ask you about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
What are the rooms like? They just have a window unit, or is it a built-in unit? So they've
Little
kind of
window
modernized that
unit.
part.
Yeah, little window unit. It's the old tongue and groove wood everywhere you look. Some of the furniture pieces in the ballroom were original to when it was first built. And what she's done with it, she's kind of brought the nature in as well. So she's got like the laurel branch beds and things like that in the place. But other than that, it's all still very, very original.
A lot of
Kind of
wicker.
Yeah.
Kind of high ceilings too.
Yeah. There were just like you would imagine. Yeah, the high ceilings with that old tongue and groove wood.
And
Kind of
the hallways. Oh, I'm sorry. The hallways are are bigger than normal hallways because of the travel trunks, the train that they would use on the trains.
Right.
So they made the walls they made the hallways bigger to get these trunks through for the people that were coming off the trains.
Okay. Kind of tall windows in each room, isn't it?
Yeah. Tall windows. Yeah.
You know, because that in the South, that's your old air conditioning right there. Big windows, big hallways.
Yeah.
Let all that breeze in.
Yeah, and that's essentially what this place was. I mean, like May was saying, people who you would catch like tuberculosis and all these respiratory type issues would come up there because they believed that the mountain air here was healing.
Mm-hmm. Did y'all jump in the spring water while you were there?
During pre-investigation, there was like a foot of snow on the ground, so we didn't even get to the spring.
It was so cold.
Because I spent some time in those mountains, even in the middle of summer. You can go up there in July and August, and those spring water running down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shock to the system. You jump in that water.
Yeah, it never warms up.
I was a raft guide up in Nantahala, and the water on the Nantahala is only 42 year round. Like it doesn't hardly get any warmer than that, even in the summer.
Yeah, it's definitely a rite of passage here to do the teenage polar plunge, where you go up to one of the springs on the mountains and you jump in the water in like February. It's definitely a rite of passage here. We've all done it the one time.
I never got into that in Chicago.
Oh God, I couldn't even imagine.
Because they had that on, I believe it was the 1st of January, where you can jump in Lake Michigan.
Yeah,
course,
no, thank you.
I knew what was in that lake, and I didn't want to get into it. So even during the summer, I did not get in that lake. But for a couple of years, Lady Gaga was dating a Chicago fireman.
Huh.
And she was taking the polar plunge. And if you go out that one day when they were doing that polar plunge, you never know when you jump in that water, who this lady beside you was. Maybe Lady Gaga.
I would die. I don't get very starstruck, but I think I would fall over my own tongue if I saw her in person.
Well, you'd probably be a little bit know the guy she was dating, because one of the guys she was dating, I think he'd actually been on a calendar of a fireman in Chicago.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet.
So Chicago's a very different place. Of course, the town I moved from, Columbus, Georgia, now it's got about 185, 190,000 people in it. When I left, it was about 75,000. And moved up to Chicago, where there's 3 million plus the suburbs. You add that up, you got probably around between 5 and 6 million people in the immediate area. Now I'm living down here in an area where there's less than 2,500 people.
Sounds like you made the right choice.
Yes, the taxes are a lot cheaper. We have a lot bigger yard, and if I stand on my front porch and the neighbor's standing on his front porch, one, we can barely see each other, and two, we got to scream at the top of our lungs to be heard.
Yeah.
In Chicago, you can literally have your neighbor hang out his second floor window, and you hang out your second floor window. You can literally shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to visit the city, but I'm a small town girl. The older I get, the further away from people I want to be.
And I'm exactly the opposite.
Really?
I left. Like I said, I grew up with Amanda, so we both grew up basically in the same place. And I just moved to Chattanooga about 2 years ago. I mean, it's not a huge city by no means, but I love the city, and I don't think I'd go back to the country.
Okay, so I can understand that. I can understand where you're living too. So it's a nice looking city. There's a lot of stuff to do there in Chattanooga.
I love it down here.
Have you investigated the battlefields in the area yet?
They do not allow you to investigate. You have to submit an application, and it's a $50 application fee, whether you get picked or not.
Wow.
I have driven around. Yeah, so I have driven around a lot. I mean, you can still drive around them. There's a place down here called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, haunted Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I'm a volunteer there. So I chaperone trips and stuff like that. I actually have one tomorrow night. So I do get out a little bit. There's a lot of places around here that I want to investigate, though, because it just feels like this whole place is haunted down here.
Yes, it is. I went there as a kid, went around a lot of the battlefields. Of course, I had absolutely no equipment, just the brain in my head. And of course, there was not much equipment you could buy other than a recorder and a pencil.
Yep.
Before Ghostbusters come out, and this was long before that.
Yep. Tape recorder. I've used a tape recorder before.
I want to get into underground Chattanooga.
Me too.
Have you heard about that?
I've been there. Yeah, I've been through there to the.
I want to go.
So, you say you work at the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital?
I do.
Has anything happened there?
Oh, so much stuff. That place is so haunted. So I just love it. We get to go as a volunteer. You go, you have to clean and help keep the place up. So I sure will. I will talk to him tomorrow. And so when I'm cleaning, a lot of this stuff happens. But I've had some just crazy experiences at that place.
I had
okay.
Maeve and I both actually years ago. Probably in 2013, we went to Old South Pittsburgh and did an investigation. And down in the chapel, we were using the obelisk, and it said my daughter's name, which freaked me out because my daughter at the time is she was
little.
6, I think 5 or 6 at the time. So like, I didn't want them talking about my kid. And then it said Maeve's son's name. And I said, did you hear that? And she goes, with this attitude, she's like, oh no, that it did not just say my kid's name. Like, no. And her middle son's name's Harley. And the obelisk said Harley and spelled it. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, nope.
I actually debated after that one if I wanted to not do this anymore because
that was
story
a conversation.
that the owner at the time, there's different owners now, obviously, but at the time, the story that the owner was telling was that there was this entity that was essentially a pedophile. And then it said my 5-year-old daughter's name over the obelisk. And I was no, we're done. We're done here. Like, and it was early on in my career too. So I was scared I was going to take this thing home to my kids. So I had for a hot second, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but we got through it.
And that story's been debunked. I'm sorry. What?
Amanda, how old's your daughter now?
She's almost 14 now. So
You've got a near 14-year-old daughter?
yeah.
Just looking at your face, that's hard to believe.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'll actually be 42 this year. I was 27.
Oh,
when I
you're
had
wait a
her.
minute, hold it. You're over 40?
Yeah, I'll be 42 in June. I was 27 when I had her.
Wow. Just looking at you facially, you look like you're under 30.
Oh, you're my new favorite. No, it's because this is an old computer, so it's grainy.
That's what it is. It's exactly what it is.
No, my mom, she gave me good genes. I'm thankful for her. I'm hanging on. I'm like about to have to dive into Botox, but I'm hanging on as long as I can.
Oh, that's hilarious. By the way, just for your information, I did turn 65 this past summer.
Aw.
So it kind of, you may have saw me laugh earlier when you said so many years ago, back in 2013. When I say so many long years ago, we're talking about something when I was back in high school in the 70s.
Yeah.
I was
well,
in
you know,
high school.
so
I
many
was
years
in the
ago.
90s.
So many years ago, that could have been 30 years or 10 to me.
It all runs together.
Of course, I hear the expressions the kids say now. They when I say something, they just look at me and say "boomer." Of course, it
Oh,
fits
yeah.
because I was born in '56, which is the 10th year of the boomer generation, which is right in the middle, right in the middle of that generation. So yeah, guilty as charged. I'm a boomer.
I'm a Gen X, and we always get forgotten about. So
yeah,
Gen X.
I'm the last year of Gen X. We were the latchkey kids.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, my wife calls it tweeners. She was at the tail end of boomer. She's 6 years younger than I am, and she calls herself a tweener between the boomer and Gen X.
Yeah.
There's differences. You've got the primary boomers like me, and the people who come back before I did or immediately after. You get about 3 or 4 years beyond where I was. There's a little change there. The music's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Of course, that's one thing I rub into the kids. I said our music was a lot cooler than yours will ever be.
And I can't understand a word my kids say. They speak like a completely foreign language. I have no idea what this slang is these days. I'm always lost.
Yeah, I never know when I should feel disrespected or not. I mean, really, honestly, because she's only 13 and she'll be like, "Yo, mom," and I'm like, "Don't yo mom me." I'm disrespectful. Or like one of her band friends called me a goat, and I still don't know if that's a good thing or not.
That's the greatest of all time. Goat is greatest of all time.
It didn't feel that way when he was saying
it. It has another meaning, but I'm not sure what it is.
I was told I'm the goat, whatever that means. I was insulted.
Yeah, my middle says that one a lot.
Yeah, you're not Tom Brady, so it may not have been greatest of all time. Goes to me, Tom Brady is. Of course, we're talking about football now. Do y'all get into much football? You're in the Southeastern Conference there.
I used to, but I don't even want to say who I pull for because I do not pull for them anymore. But yeah, I've faded away. But the Cowboys were my guys. But
I forgot about that,
dude. I was a big Cowboys fan, and now I am not. So
okay, we got another question.
Oregon Ducks. I like their gear.
They do have some colorful uniforms.
Yeah.
I come up being a Falcons fan, born and raised in Georgia, and of course, University of Georgia Bulldog fan.
Well, I mean, I have to pull for the Panthers. I live in North Carolina. I have to pull for the Panthers. I can't be a traitor.
Of course you do. Of course
but I avoid sports at all costs. I mean, I go watch my kid in marching band at the football games, but I don't even see anything else that happens on the field. So.
Okay, we had a question in the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to
Brushy Mountain?
We were just talking about that, actually.
Yes.
Well, go ahead and talk about it some more.
I am sad to say this, but we had zero experiences in the I will say zero evidence in the prison that night. I had an experience in the prison that was terrifying, but nobody else around me saw it, so it was just me alone, scared to death. And Maeve had a pretty profound experience in the that they've turned
In
part
the
of
bathroom.
a restaurant where they're what kind of alcohol do they make there?
It's whiskey, I think. It's a distillery, so they make liquor.
Distillery now. Yeah, but she had an experience in the distillery part that was pretty crazy too.
It was really wild. And the more we talk about our experiences, the more I'm realizing just how many experiences I have in the bathroom. It's a little weird. but at Brushy, I had I was in the bathroom at Brushy Mountain. And it's a huge bathroom. It's like just a big, it's a big
bathroom.
It's a big bathroom. And there were other women in there, and I was washing my hands, and everybody had like left around me. So I was the only one in there, and I was washing my hands. And at the end of this long row of sinks is the hand dryers. I mean, there's one on each end. So I'm sitting there washing my hands, and the hand dryer goes off. And I'm the only one in this bathroom. There's no it doesn't go off unless you stick your hand under it. So I had one of those I had the fight or flight moment, like, holy crap, I'm in here all by myself. It was so loud that it scared me. I couldn't move. I had a moment. And so I went out and of course went and got Amanda, took her back to the bathroom, and we were just messing with it. It would come on when she put her hand under it. I mean, it worked normally. And as we were leaving, she goes, it really would have been nice if that had turned on by itself. And it came on right when she said that. Yeah. It was crazy. Nothing else. Nothing else the rest of the time.
Yeah, Amanda, we didn't
what was the experience you had by yourself?
Who, me?
Nobody saw. Yeah.
Okay. So these are the things I talk about, then people think I'm completely nuts. But with my abilities change daily. And this particular time, we went into the auditorium. And I'm just going to come out and just tell the story, even though, again, everybody's going to think I'm nuts. But we went into the auditorium, which they used the auditorium late in the later years as offices for a medical department that they put in, because with regulations, I would say like 70s or 80s, I think they said they had to put in some sort of medical facility inside. So they used it like cubicles. So you can only kind of go around the edge of the auditorium right now without going into the cubicles. But we went in there, and immediately I was hit with this really negative, scary energy. And we turned the corner, and this is so crazy. There was this thing on the ground, and it was just a black form at this time, but it's like crouched down on the ground. And as soon as we turned the corner, it jumped like a jumping spider and landed in the top, where the roof meets the wall, where the ceiling meets the wall, and like stuck like a tree frog to the wall there. And it scared me to death. And we're up on the stage, and I'm standing in front of the stage, and Maeve and another guy that was with us were sitting on the stage, and I could see this thing like popping up behind them and then going back down. Like it was crouched behind them, and it would just pop up occasionally and go back down. And at this point, I am completely freaked out, but they're not seeing it, so they're fine. You know, they're like, down, you're good. And so I sat on the stairs. There's like 5 or 6 stairs going up to the stage, and I'm sitting on the stairs, and this thing crawls up to me on the floor and like tries to like come up right by my leg. And I was done. We were done. I didn't want to go back in there. And it's funny, because at the very end of the night, the girl that was working there that night, her family has owned this property for generations. And we were just sitting there casually talking. And I said, I said, can we talk about what's going on in the auditorium? I said, can we talk about what you've got in there? And she said, what did you get? And I was too even nervous to say it. I said, can you just tell me? Can you just confirm for me what you have in there? And she said, we have a creeper. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for confirming that, because he was about the creepiest creeper I've ever seen in all of my experience. But he didn't bother us. He didn't make any noises in the room. We didn't catch him on camera or anything like that. By the stage. That's exactly right, Greg. Yeah, but it was really odd. I've never seen anything, because you've got to think it's a stage. So that auditorium is 20-foot ceilings, 25-foot ceilings, and it jumped from the floor
Usually
to the
in the
ceiling.
theater, yeah.
Yeah, like you would think a jumping spider would go. Yeah, he scared me. I don't know. I didn't stay in there long enough to figure out if he was once a person or if he was something that was more created by the energy from the people in there. I don't know. I didn't stick around to find out.
Oh, here Greg has another question for you.
No, I did not hear his claws on the floor. Thank God I did not.
That would be scary, hearing anybody's claws on any floor. That would be scary to me.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any of that either. No, I avoided him like the plague. I wanted as far away from that thing as I could be. So,
okay, all right, we've reached kind of close to the end of the show, and I normally ask a few questions, just part of the show. Okay. So if you ladies don't mind,
no, go ahead.
Both of you can answer these questions for me. Number one? What is your favorite sandwich?
I have to say an Italian sub.
Mine is a ham, egg, and tomato.
Okay.
A ham, egg, and tomato on toast.
Ham, egg, and tomato.
My dad used to make it every Sunday growing up.
Oh, if your dad made it for you, that's got to be your favorite. Yeah. There is no, I forgot to say there is no wrong answer to these questions, but a sandwich that your dad made for you is definitely the right one in my book.
Yeah.
Now, this one is a hot dog sandwich. It's meat and bread. Is it a sandwich?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but it's not a sandwich.
Okay.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, you have to be able to put lettuce on a sandwich, right?
It's a hot dog. My mom put mayonnaise on her hot dog. I don't know.
Well, I come from Chicago, so I see a lot of relish on hot dogs.
Ugh. We're from the South. We eat coleslaw on ours.
Sauerkraut.
Now, this is kind of a personal opinion. Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yes.
I did not hear that question. Okay. What was that?
Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yes, next to the ham.
Okay. Now, here's one close to Southern man's heart. Barbecue. Pork, beef, or chicken?
Pork.
Pork. My husband has a barbecue team, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do barbecue. Yes, it is.
I'm bad about smoking Boston butts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's what we stick with.
In fact, during the wintertime, I'll do them in the oven in the house. You know, if instead of during the summer, you want to do them outside to keep them heating the house up. During the winter, you do them inside the house to heat the house up. And I just did 2 butts earlier this week.
Yum. What time should we come to dinner?
Well, probably after tomorrow, because are y'all familiar with Brunswick stew?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I make the Georgia version of Brunswick stew, supposedly from Brunswick, Georgia. And let me tell you, you can make a meal of that yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'll do, I'll get a bowl of that warm Brunswick stew, and they either have some sliced barbecue sitting there, and make a good barbecue sandwich with it. Oh yeah,
yum!
That sounds really good.
Yeah, we're foodies. You're speaking our language right now.
I also do about 95% of the cooking here in the house.
Awesome.
Nice. My husband does all the
That's
cooking.
That's why my wife puts up with me taking off and doing, paranormal investigations and spending 2 hours talking to two lovely ladies on the internet. She knows I'm gonna be cooking for her tomorrow night.
I mean, keeping somebody well
pizza.
fed goes a long way.
Yes, it does. And like I told you earlier, my wife's a former power lifter, so in the past she's had to eat. Now, back to kind of her hometown of Chicago. Pizza, flat or deep dish?
Flat.
Okay. Got to go to Giordano's in Chicago, get some of that deep dish.
I've never had a deep dish, so I mean, I say flat, but that's just because I've never had a deep dish.
I like mine like
Giordano's is really good.
thin.
Okay.
Like a cracker.
What is the scariest animal to you?
Ooh,
that's a good question. Scariest animal.
A shark. I'm terrified of sharks. I'm terrified of anything in the ocean, but namely sharks.
Oh, you don't swim in the ocean very much, huh?
I don't even look at the ocean. I don't even like seeing it from my balcony.
I spent a lot of time down in Florida, so I've swam all over the Gulf, Panama City.
Yeah.
I partially lived on Jacksonville Beach for a lot of summers.
I admire people like you. I'm just never going to do it. I'm never going to get eaten by a shark. Like, I can 100% guarantee you that a shark will never eat me because I will never give it the opportunity.
Okay, apples or oranges?
Oranges.
Apples.
Okay. You can put peanut butter on an apple.
Yeah, buddy.
I don't like peanut butter.
For both of y'all, here's a tough question. What do you think happens when we die?
You got another hour?
Seriously.
Really? There's an in-depth theory.
I do too.
We got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to shorten my theory. What I believe is that we have our higher self, our higher soul, stays in heaven all the time, and I believe in reincarnation with a purpose. I think that we will keep revisiting Earth over and over and over, however many times we need to become enlightened enough to ascend to the next level in heaven. And that's what I believe. I believe that heaven is exactly what you think it is. I mean, I don't know that it's exactly what the Bible says it is, in my opinion, but it's whatever you want it to be. You make your own heaven.
Okay. Next
what about
question.
you, Maeve?
There's basically, I'm just going to say on that topic, there is a documentary, I think, on Amazon Prime called I'm Dead, Now What? Or I Died, Now What? And that basically just sums up mine, which is a lot of what Amanda just said, but just a little bit different.
Okay.
But it would take another 2 hours to explain it. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Favorite action movie?
Oh, God. So many. I love movies.
I'm not a huge fan of action movies, to be perfectly honest.
I mean,
Ghostbusters would be like, is that considered an action movie?
I think mine was Speed. It always has been from like the 90s. Good old fashioned Val Kilmer, or not Val Kilmer, but what's his face?
Keanu.
Okay.
Yes, that one.
I like a good comic book movie.
A comic book movie?
The Avengers.
Like the Marvel?
The Avengers.
I've seen none of them.
I like them.
You've seen none of them?
None of them. I haven't even seen
a Venom.
I've seen like Michael Keaton's Batman.
There's a lot of eye candy in the Marvel movies if you're a woman.
Yeah. I see the ads, but I've never seen any of the movies.
Okay, here's one. Since you did a movie with Kane Holder, what's your favorite horror movie?
What was that? I didn't hear. I'm so sorry you broke up.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, any of the Halloweens. I'm a Halloween girl. To the end of time.
This is a hard one for me. Of course, I'm a Freddy fan, a Nightmare on Elm Street fan from when I was a kid. But I think that The Serpent and the Rainbow was incredible. I loved that one. The first Insidious, I loved it. One of my favorite movies in general, period, is The Cell with Vincent D'Onofrio and Jennifer Lopez. I mean, I guess that would sort of fall into the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be really hard for me to pick one.
Okay. Exercise, worth it?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay. Water, flat or sparkling?
Flat.
Flat. Me too.
I didn't hear that. You broke up again.
Water, flat, or sparkling?
Oh, flat.
Okay. Favorite phone app?
I use Spotify all the time, but I'm obsessed with Crossword Jam. Like obsessed.
Okay. Now I'll give you an Arkansas question.
Okay.
Do you like rice, and how do you eat it?
Do I like rice?
Yes.
I do like rice.
How do you eat it?
As nature intended.
I eat it all kinds of ways. I mean, season it. I like rice-a-roni. I like it with butter and sugar. I mean, it just depends on the situation.
Okay. The reason I ask that is because Arkansas is where most of your rice is raised in this country.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Riceland is a big thing here. In fact, around me, almost in any general direction, if I walked a couple of miles, I'd find myself in a field that's been planted sometime or another in rice.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yes, we are a big rice producer here.
Awesome.
Look up Riceland, where Riceland is connected, and see, and look on the back when you buy rice, where it comes from. A lot of it's from Arkansas.
I'm going to check. I've got like 6 boxes in there. I'm going to definitely check.
Okay, take a look. Describe the rest of your life in 5 words.
A complete shit show? I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, I have no freaking clue. That's my 5 words. Hopefully I'm taking over the world, but who knows?
Hoping to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and the last one, that's the most important question. You've been married, and Amanda, you've been married.
Yeah.
Of course, we could talk about Kane here. Boxers or briefs? The world wants to know.
Boxers.
Boxers or
Boxers.
Yeah.
Boxer briefs, though. I like boxer briefs.
I like boxer briefs too.
Okay. Well,
I'll steal all your boxer briefs though. So
yeah. I have 3 boys, and that's all they wear. So that's all I buy.
That's what I wear. Boxer briefs. Anything. I got all colors but white.
Yeah, I don't buy my kids white underwear.
All right. Is there anything else y'all would like to say before we go? Because it's almost that time.
Go on Facebook and follow Wicked Wonders, follow Balsam, a paranormal investigation. We are affiliated with Paranormal 13, which I kind of want to plug in there a little bit. It's basically a paranormal forum for all things paranormal. A really accepting and all-inclusive type of place where if you're having issues at your home, you can come on there, talk to professionals, talk to other people who have gone through it. If you have evidence to share, if you need advice on where to go or how to go to a location, I mean, anything you need paranormal-wise, hit up Paranormal 13 and you'll likely find us on there as well. So
All right.
Plug.
And it's maybe have you got anything you want to plug?
Amanda basically handled it. I would like to say though that if you watch the movie and you want to tell us about it, I would love to hear about it. And it doesn't matter if you agree or it doesn't matter if you think it's haunted or not. I would still love to hear everybody's opinions on this.
Okay. Where can they give those opinions?
Wicked Wanders, Paranormal 13, the Balsam Paranormal Investigation on Facebook. Feel free to hit me up on Facebook on my private page. It's all public, but send us friend requests. I'm on Facebook a lot more than Amanda is.
Yeah, I hate social media. I'm on there right now, but I try to stay as far away as possible.
Having a show now, of course, it's just getting rolling with the show. I find myself just on media all the time now.
Yeah.
The show on Saturday night that comes on at 2 o'clock local time. They consider me part of their family. I've been in the chat room so much and making comments that on 2 or 3 shows I'm a regular, and
awesome.
That I'm not sure if that's bragging or admitting a wrong. I'm not sure where that fits.
I encourage you to unplug.
I do. All I've got to do is like get up in the mornings. There's nothing in the mornings here. The wife used to taking a nap. She is semi-retired, by the way. I'm completely retired. I mean, you're seeing me work right now. I'm
awesome. Isn't it great when work can be fun?
Yes, it is a ball. And that's all I do is a few investigations. The wife, one of the paranormal people in Chicago call her the patient wife. She's willing to take vacations to haunted places. She kind of gives me a dirty look when I put her in a place that I've realized, okay, the event happened or this person was killed where you're standing or where you're sitting. I get a dirty look sometimes.
That's like Maeve's husband. I swear, she is so lucky because he has been so loving and supportive of everything that we've done, and it has taken time. It has cost money. It has not benefited him in any way, shape, or form. And he still is so supportive and he's so encouraging for us. And like, it's awesome. He's not my husband, but at least I get to experience that every now and then.
All right. Well, I really appreciate y'all being on the show tonight. I look forward to talking with you in the future. If you got anything you want to say to me, you're both up to me in Messenger. I believe, Amanda, you sent me a friend request. I approved it.
Yes.
So if you ever want to say anything to me, just say so. And, if I see y'all say something, I may comment on it. So
please do.
Yeah, Maeve or I will keep in touch with you because we do have some other projects that will be coming out next year, maybe 1 or 2 next year, maybe 1 or 2 the following. So we'll definitely keep in touch with you. This documentary is not our last one, though.
Okay, so if you do another one, get it together and get the information together, and we'll have you on the show again, and we'll talk about that one.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's fantastic night, ladies. Thank you very
so much.
Very much.
It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Yeah, that was a fantastic show tonight. Be back next week, next Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We will be doing several live EchoVox sessions. Be 2 hours of several EchoVox sessions, and we'll see what we can pick up. Last time I tried this, I didn't get a whole lot, but last year I did get quite a bit of response. So be sure to be in your chat room with any questions you might have, and we'll see what we got. And until then, have a good week. If you're on public media, if you're on Facebook, be sure and give me a like. Send me a friend request. You want to be friends? That's just great. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. That's all I can say. Have a good night and a better day tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?